So, we did get to see Miroku in this episode. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park, and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing a Yashahime Half Demon Princess episode 5, entitled Jakasamaru of the Red Bone Palace. So I'm being patient, guys. I'm being patient. This episode, a brief summary, there is a demon called Jakasamaru who is basically going around stealing bones or skeletons from people and animals because he wants to revive his father, Tokatsu, who was slain by Moroha, basically. And Toa and Setsuna are kind of along for the ride in the search for the dream butterfly, even though technically Toa is the only one really searching because Setsuna doesn't really seem to care either way. She just wants to take the job of also slaying Jakasamaru because she wants to live her own life and walk her own path. I guess like Sesshomaru. Much to Toa's annoyance, because Toa is basically there to try and revive her sister's memories and allow her to sleep by getting rid of this dream butterfly or figuring out how to reverse it. So, yeah. This episode was very informative. We met Miyoga. And Miyoga basically refers to Moroha as Lady Moroha, which I think is cool. He knows that Inuyasha and Kagome are her parents. But for some reason, it seems like nobody else does, because Kaede, right before Moroha left, she left her things, that huge bag with the bike and everything in it, asking Grandma, our old lady Kaede, to watch her bag. And Kaede looks at Moroha running off and saying, wow, she's just like Kagome. That does not tell me that she knows that that's Kagome's daughter. She just said she reminds her of Kagome. So yeah, that's kind of driving me nuts. Also, we saw Kohaku, and Kohaku basically was researching the dream butterfly for Toa and Setsuna, saying that it may be an apparition that's inhabiting Mount Musubi. But then he kind of name drops his sister. And what I thought was really interesting about that is that, so when they're talking about going to slay this demon, and this demon is basically a bone-eating demon. Kohaku initially told Setsuna when she asked if there was any work, he said, yeah, I was going to give it to Hisue, but you can do it, because you're going in that direction. But when Hisue is there and they're looking up information, he said, why can't I go do this job? And then Kohaku name drops Sango and says, well, my sister went against a bone, eating demon. And, the problem is actually the Harakatsu. Because the Harakatsu, which was Sango's weapon, and apparently this is what Hisue has mastered, is useless against a bone eating demon. So I was like, okay, number one, you just name dropped your sister. You didn't say where the heck she was. And number two, prior to Setsuna asking you if there was a job, you were willing to send your nephew against this demon with a weapon that's useless. I'm like, what? I'm like, whatever. But he did send Kirara with them, so, everybody loves Kirara. So anyway, long story short, summary-wise, the girls do meet up, and they take on Jakasamaru, and, they're able to defeat him. So I'm only kind of basically going over the plot so we can talk about stuff in the actual episode. So we found Yatsume, which is the four-eyed owl demon. It seems that he is serving the four pillars, and the four pillars of Kurinmaru are Totetsu, Kantan, Lady Kyuki, and Tokatsu, who's already slain, and who, his son Jakasamaru is trying to bring back with all the bones he's stealing. Lady Kyuki is talking to Yatsume and, about, the son trying to bring back Tokatsu, and basically Yatsume informs her that it was Moroha that, slain, one of the four pillars, the Katsu. And so she's like, well, just tell the son to take revenge, basically, which is really interesting. But when we run into Miyoga, who is at the house of, he's called a corpse dealer, and his name is Jubei. And this is who Moroha has been getting all her bounties from, even though he kind of is like shady and not really pays her what she's worth. apparently Miyoga was there, and so, he thought he was buying the flea demon too, and shouldn't even realize Miyoga was there. So that tells me that it's the same relationship that Inuyasha had. Miyoga just shows up out of nowhere. But I mean, he drops a lot of knowledge. Like, there's a point where all three of the girls basically meet up, and Miyoga doesn't, I guess, instantly recognize that they're Shishomaru's daughters. So he seems very shocked when he realizes that they are. And I thought that was interesting because he asked Moroha, he's like, those are Lord Shishomaru's daughters? So that tells me Shishomaru, really never contacted anybody. Now, I don't know if this meant Miyoga never even knew Rin was pregnant, or he didn't know what happened after he came and got the newborns. This is interesting. There's so many things. I mean, that's so, what the hell is she, But he seemed really, surprised that Toa and Setsuna were Shishomaru's kids. So that's interesting. He also talks about how he served Toa's line forever and a day, which I thought was very, very cool. And he refers to, again, Moroha as lady. And, thinking about Moroha's lineage, they call the girls the half-demon princesses, which I guess is true in a sense, except for Moroha, who's a quarter demon. But technically, isn't she really more royalty than all of them? Because Inuyasha's mother was a princess, and Inuyasha's father was pretty much the demon king or overlord of the demons, which is royalty. So wouldn't that make her more than a half? Just throwing that out there. I don't know. But anyway, so some other things we learned in this episode. We learned that Moroha has no memory of slaying, this demon. She has Takatsu it's almost like she came across him, and that we learned she took the red rainbow pearl from Takatsu. So it wasn't given to her. It didn't appear in her, hand, through her legacy. Miyoga didn't give it to her. She took it. So that's an interesting twist, because, the other two girls have it in their eyes. She had to acquire hers by thieving. So that's a very interesting thing. But I think one of the coolest things that we learned about Moroha is the same compact that holds the red pearl has this rouge in it. And this red rouge, like lipstick, when she puts it on, that's how she turns into Beniyasha. And, as Beniyasha, she is very formidable. And it made Miyoga extremely excited, because apparently this rouge allows her grandfather, Toa's memories to be unlocked in her blood. And so she takes on very cool characteristics of her grandfather, as well as, which I think is really cool, she's able to use two of her father's Inuyasha's attacks, the Iron Reaver Soul Stealer and Blades of Blood, which I thought was very cool. And she's also able to unlock her spiritual energy, which Miyoga informs basically the demon that the reason that she's so formidable and has demon and spiritual energy is because she's the daughter of Kagome, Kikyo's reincarnation. So of course she'd have spiritual energy. And it's just like Miyoga's talking about Kagome, name dropping Inuyasha, but not saying where the hell they are. And I'm like, because I guess it's just not important for us. I don't know. But anyway, they're able to defeat Jokatsamaru, and Moroha basically slays him. But his father, unfortunately, has to be slain by Setsuna and Toa, because whenever the rouge is used, it drains, Moroha till the next day. So she's just out. But so Setsuna and Toa end up slaying him, which is interesting because, number one, Toa doesn't want to kill anybody or anything. She still, has her modern day mythology. We don't want to kill, especially a child, because, Jokatsamaru looks like a young, beautiful boy. So she has a lot of issues with slaying him. And Setsuna's like, what the hell? This is the feudal era, And, Toa's like, well, Moroha, if you just apologize and explain that you're not really the one that killed, his father, maybe he'll forgive you, even though technically it was Beniyasha, so it was Moroha. And Setsuna's like, is that how it works in your world? Because that sure as heck is how it happens here. Nobody cares about you apologizing. So they do slay him. And two things that I thought were interesting about that is, number one, it was even told by Setsuna earlier that by them slaying the sun and the pillar, basically, because they did kill the fourth pillar again. By them taking out Takatsu, they are just following the Tree of Ages, basic plan on reviving or taking out Kirimaru to revive Sesshomaru for them to fight. So they're basically, no matter what they do, they seem to inadvertently be following that path anyway. And Toa's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of messed up. And then number 2, so Setsuna says this prayer, like a prayer of the slain, I guess to send the demon over to the afterlife, la la la. And Toa's like, where did you get that from? And she said, from a traveling monk. And that's when we see a flashback of Moroku lifting up his hat. Or kind of, you don't even see his whole face, but it's Moroku. What the heck? I'm like, so why is a traveling monk traveling away from his family, the same family that has trained Setsuna to be a demon slayer? She calls him a traveling monk. Like, she has no idea who he really is. That he's not Hisue's, father, and not the brother-in-law of Koaku. So does that also mean she's never met Sango? This is... Guys, this is a lot. This is a lot. But again, to recap, we got some cool information. We got the blood rouge now that's Toa's blood that he gifted to Inuyasha's mother, Lady Izoyoi, that allows Moroha to be badass and take on her grandfather's, and I guess really her father's, abilities temporarily, and then drains all her demon energy. Miyoga knows who Inuyasha and Kagome are, name drop them, doesn't say where the heck they are either, but because we're just not meant to know, I guess. Did not realize that the Toa and Setsuna were Sesshomaru's daughters, which means that A, he didn't know he had kids and that Rin was ever pregnant, or he didn't know what happened to them after they were born, which is interesting because that really does tell me that whatever happened, it went down after he took those babies out of the village, or Sesshomaru did. We got some new characters. We have Jubei the corpse. We've learned about the pillars. We also learned, interestingly enough, that Miyoga does not feel like at any time. He refers to Kirimaru, as pretty much resplendent or like lovely. Like the ambitions were so out of character of being, putting the world in the darkness, distorting time, and bringing chaos to the land. That doesn't even sound like Lord Kirimaru. So, our beast, I guess, King Kirimaru. That the way Toa and Setsuna looked at each other was like, that is not how the Tree of Ages described this person, So, that's another clue that something shady and interesting is going on. Because we're all thinking Kirimaru may be the big baddie, and it may not be. So, it could be some gray area in there. But we met Lady Kyuki, one of the 4 pillars. We see our demon, owl demon is back. I guess he's never left, unless he actually is, because a lot of people think that the teacher, that Toa's teacher in the modern day is actually Kirimaru, because his name is Kirin, and he could be in 2 places at one time if he's able to travel back and forth through time. But I don't think so, only because I feel like Yatsume would never call Kyuki Lady Kyuki if he was really Kirimaru. So I don't think the owl is. I think he's just a lowly servant that serves the 4 pillars, and the 4 pillars are who serve Kirimaru. And I don't know what their end game plan is right now. I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah. So we basically have learned that Miyoga has been in Moroha's life. We just don't. She called him Grandpa Miyoga at one point. I don't know if that's a mistranslation, and because I watch it on Hulu, or if that's what she really calls him. I love the banter where she's like, "I'm surprised you're still here and haven't run away," and he's like, "Yeah, that's about to happen soon." No, that Miyoga, that's completely in character. But it's interesting that how she refers to him. Obviously they've spent a lot of time together. And I'm pretty sure that he's the one who taught her about Toa and Lady Izoi. Because how would she know to get Lady Izoi's, blood rouge? And, how would she know any of this stuff? So, yeah. I think Miyoga has been a big source in who her family is. It's just still really weird that Kaede doesn't know that that's Moro, that Kagome and Inuyasha's daughter. It just doesn't, it kind of baffles my brain. And then there was one more character, and she reminds me so much of Shippo. Her name is Takichiyo. She's a young raccoon dog demon, and I thought she was absolutely adorable. And kind of, Shippo could be sneaky, but she's more like, she serves the demon corpse Jubei, basically the hustler. So she's got that hustling mentality, and so she's sent along to help her boss keep an eye on Maroha so she doesn't run away, and she actually, defeats, the son of the demon she slayed, Jukatsu Maru, because it's a bounty and he wants it. And when Setsuno and Towa basically destroy the entire, cabin or place that, he's at, she reports back to Jubei, and he's like, well, because there's no body and no anything, we get the bounty ourselves. I'm like, so shady. So yeah, Moro is probably gonna be really mad when she wakes up. But yeah, there's still, it's progressing our main 3 character story, but it's not telling us any other exposition on the people from the OG series. So it's still very frustrating when you're trying to figure it out, only because I don't have a problem with them keeping it a secret, because it is a TV series. It's gonna be over 20 something episodes. But like these little nuggets, as somebody from the LGBT community, we have a term called queer baiting. That's when you have 2 characters that you think are the same sex that are going to get together and they just don't. I find this to be plot baiting because you show us an image of Moroku and it's literally a 1-second flashback that's so vague and so confusing that it tells us absolutely nothing. And you have references and name drops of the OG all the time, but they act like these people are dead or are not around and that nobody needs to know why. And nobody asks why. It's like, oh, where is your mother? Nobody says that. How's Sango doing? Nobody says that. Why is your daddy traveling alone? Nobody says that. I mean, if I were to put a theory out there, I'd say, well, Moroku's just doing it because he feels inadequate, that he doesn't have the wind tunnel anymore, so maybe he's going out to find himself. I don't know. I don't want to think that him and Sango are divorced, but I mean, heck, Hisue doesn't name drop his dad at all. He did mention his mother when they were talking about Sango and fighting a demon before, but a bone-eating demon, but nothing about the father. Nothing. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And somebody also posted last week on my previous review that they think that this series follows more of the movie mythology, which could be true because Maroha did use a crimson dragon attack, and I kind of feel like Setsuna's next. She's gonna have a demon attack, or a dragon attack of some sort, or dragon wave at some sort, coming soon. Yeah, this absolutely could be following a movie anthology. Because we never heard of Kurimaru in the OG series, I kind of feel like they could be expanding on a lot of plot points in a lot of the different Inuyasha movies. There's so much. I have so many theories and so many questions. Outside of where the heck are all the OG people? Why is Rin in a tree? Is that really Sesshomaru, or is it Kurimaru sharing his body, or possessing his body, or is Kurimaru actually sealed too? Who knows? Maybe Sesshomaru is still Kurimaru, and the only way to duke it out or whatever is to basically take them both out. Or maybe, as somebody posted on one of my videos, Sesshomaru basically is the one distorting time to save Rin because he can't revive her anymore with Tesega. Maybe. There's so many questions. Something else I wanted to know was, so Maroha's sword, Kuri Karamaru, I think it's called. Who made it? Did it come out from Toa's fang? And who gave it to her? How did she get this sword? So many questions. We don't know how she got the blood rouge unless Miyoga gave it to her. We don't know how she got her sword. We don't know anything. So, yeah. I just got questions, guys. I got questions. But that is my review of episode 5. I would really love to know what you guys think, so please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you're enjoying the music track in this video, it is done by my boy Sky Blue. He has graciously allowed me to use his music on my channel because, you know, he is awesome that way. So please check out his YouTube channel and like and subscribe. I will leave his URL in the description. And as always, if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on the nerd bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.